When I first started this job, I took it because I was so in love with the arts. I realized that the arts were actually a really powerful tool for a lot of other things. The arts were motivating, the arts were engaging. Then I started looking at applications, how is that helpful in alternative ed? In sites where kids haven't been terribly successful in school, where schoolwork, academic work has been hard, where socialization is traumatic, where adults have failed them. How can you use art classes to make it whole again?
In 2007, I walked into juvenile hall and asked them if they had any art there for the kids, and they didn't, so I started a program. And that's where Art with Heart was born.
Really beautiful.
I personally am very attracted to working with kids in trouble. On here, if you get any on you, on your hands, on your shirts, you look like you're all wearing black and gray just about, so it's good. Their emotions are very accessible. And for art to be good, you have to be able to access emotions.
Art kind of helps break them away from that cold reality. It gives them escape and hope, I think if art were everywhere, there'd just be less troublemakers.
And I realized myself from a very early age that art actually saved my butt.
I don't know. I like art. It's a good opportunity.
I like art, so I like this class even more.
I saw that art bent around corners, that it was able to permeate things like gangs where nothing else could.
You didn't stick to your guns there, Mundo.
Clergymen couldn't get in there, police couldn't get in, social workers couldn't get in. But a good artist, the door was open. So that's what I found, is that there was a need for art and that these kids just gravitated to it.
Could have made a difference.
Art is not extra, it's not extracurricular, it is curricular. It is the core of what I think we do.
Arts influence students and their engagement to school and their motivation to come to school and the excitement that they have for the field trips that they get to go on that they may not have been able to attend previously.
It's good for our students, but it's also good for our teachers to really integrate those strategies into their daily lessons so that it's not just a reading activity and it's not just an art activity, that we're really blending the two, reading and art, and supporting our English learners through a collaboration that we've created through the arts coordinator.
It is result-oriented, but the thing of it is, even with the arts, fine art results in a show, so you actually do produce something that shows what you have done.
We worked on a book called The 100 Dresses this year and provided some professional development for teachers on how to use that particular text with close reading, while at the same time providing students with an arts activity piece.
If you're taking kids on a field trip, or if kids are involved in an artist in residency project, or they're participating in art within the classroom, that's one extra piece to take home at the end of the day and talk about with parents.
People naturally want to see their kids perform or see what their kids are doing. So that's a great piece for schools to use.
When I've gotten kids accepted into the Palm Springs Art Museum show, they invite the parents and the family. The whole family comes, the brothers, the sisters, extended family, and they get to see their kids who ordinarily would not get an award or barely graduate, if that, see them get up and get an award. Go up on a stage in front of 1,000 people and get applauded, and then go into the Annenberg wing of the art museum and see their son or daughter's work hanging on the wall. That really impacts them. They tend to look at their children differently.
The first data tracking that I did was in alternative education, and we just kind of put it together. I wasn't really looking for a particular result. I assumed that it would improve attendance, that students would be excited to come to school because of that, and that it would reduce discipline referrals. Those were the two indicators that I was tracking. And so I kind of expected those results to be good, but I was blown away when we saw actually what happened, because the attendance was like 3 times as good for students who were attending that kind of programming. And the discipline referrals, I think it was something so dramatic, like 75 referrals the year before I had artists working in a site, and like 2 the next year when the artists were there.
It's beyond language. Art happens everywhere across the world. And so when you provide these pieces for students and these opportunities for them, it doesn't matter that it's not in English or in English in their primary language. It provides them that opportunity to express themselves.
Creating that atmosphere at school for the kids, they love it. It brings them to school. It lets them explore, who they truly are. And in so doing, then what that does is it crosses over into the English, math, social studies, and sciences.
Engagement is something that you see in attendance. I think you see it in the faces of students.
I'm kind of nervous, but her challenge is to learn how to hold the chopsticks.
You see it in the laughter and the joy that kids experience by getting to do activities or attend events or be part of projects that most of our students probably would never get to do.
You're going to pick the one word that you think best describes you, and then you're going to pick the two colors that you're feeling and that you like.
I like these colors. They make me feel joyful. I'm pink and I like pink because it's like careful colors. This is the favorite color as my football team.
My first experiences with art being maybe 3 years old, and my home was rather dysfunctional. And I always found a safe place in a corner on the floor with my crayons, leaned up on my elbows, feet kicking up and down, drawing. And that was my safe haven.
Love.
Through all the years of education, we have all of these standards and all of these frameworks and all of these things that we put these kids through. But really, when it comes down to it, there's only one thing that we want these kids to do, and that's to be able to answer the question, who am I?
We had a student one year who was having just tremendous, problems, and she came from a home where there was a lot of abuse happening, and she came in for one of the classes one day, and she was very shaken up and upset, and the counselors asked her, what's happening, and she was talking about things that had been happening with her father of an abusive nature, and they went through the reporting process and so forth as required by law, and we're going to send her home, but it was the day that the art teacher was in, and she wanted to go in and make art. And she made this canvas, but every bit of rage and anger and fear that she had been through came out on that canvas. It was stunning to see it. The fact that she felt compelled to come to school that day, and regardless of what was happening, go to class, have an outlet, a therapeutic outlet, and a way to transfer what was happening onto the canvas. So I'll never forget her and how she used it as a vehicle to transform her pain into triumph.